Hello and a very warm welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to show you how to determine your garden's orientation or aspect and how it can be useful to decide which kind of plants you're going to grow in your garden. Knowing the orientation or aspect of our gardens helps us to understand the way the sun goes around the garden and in which parts of the garden have direct sunlight. And this will in turn determine which plants are going to thrive in various different parts of your garden. So the first thing to do is, if you don't already know which aspect your garden faces, if you get a phone or a tablet, download a compass app. A lot of these are free, and then all you need to do is stand with your back facing your house, have your phone or tablet facing the direction of your garden, and then look at where the pointer is facing on your compass app. For us it's pointing to northwest, so we have a northwest facing garden. So for us that means that the sun rises in the east, so in that kind of direction there. It swings all around and then sets in the west, which is behind one of our neighbouring trees. So this means that we get sun in our front garden, but this area that I'm standing in now gets a lot of shade in the morning. As the sun swings round, most of the garden is in quite a sunny aspect. If you're fortunate to have a south facing garden, which many gardeners long for, it does mean that your garden will be in sun pretty much all day, particularly in the height of summer. That does have its drawbacks, however. It does mean that you may be craving shade. It may mean that you find that you need to have somewhere to retreat to because it gets too warm. And it also may mean, unless you have clay soil, that your soil becomes very much like a desert during the summertime. So that does have its challenges. On the opposite end of the coin, if you have a north facing garden, it means that your garden is going to be a lot shadier, and it will potentially mean that you're going to have, when there is rainfall, it is going to hold on to that moisture, and you may also have much damper soil because of that. Somewhere in between these two is west facing gardens and east facing gardens. In an east facing garden, they have beautiful cool sunshine in the morning, but by around lunchtime a lot of the garden goes into shade. Opposite to that, a west facing garden will be in shade during the morning, and then past lunchtime we'll get direct sunlight. So what does this mean in terms of our planting choices? If you have a shady garden, then a lot of plants that require a lot of direct sunlight to grow are not going to thrive. So plants like your prairie plants, the heleniums, your sunflowers, your lavender, they're not going to thrive in a north facing garden. If you do have a north facing garden, you need to be choosing other plants that do like that shade. So plants like hostas, plants like astrantias, plants like astilbes, ferns, all those type of plants do prefer to be in a shadier aspect. Also hydrangeas as well. If you do have somewhere in between, so you've got the east or the west, or like us, the northwest facing garden, it does mean your garden is going to be in full sun for part of the day, and in other areas of the garden it's going to be more shadier. So for us in this garden, the sun will swing around lunchtime, and we will get direct sun pretty much on all of this side of the garden. So where the main border is, and all the way up until where the summer house is, and where the magnolia tree is, and where Ben's tree is planted, that will be in sunshine all the way through up until the sun sets. And the good thing about this kind of garden is we do have a lovely sunset that goes just beyond where the houses are in the west side of the garden, and we get some lovely highlights. And the positioning that we've done purely by coincidence, not by really thought, but it has worked out really well. The Calamagrostis Carl Forster, the evening light just as that sun is setting just looks completely magical. So it does really look, it highlights the lovely feathery plumes as the sun sets behind the neighbouring houses and the trees. This leads me on to the next part, which is about how other buildings and trees can affect your garden and how much sunlight you get. You may well be in a south-facing garden, but if you're living next door to somebody who has a massive double extension which goes partly into the garden, they also have a lot of trees, some tall shrubs, you're going to be struggling with sunlight, particularly when it's outside of the main summer period, when the sun is still quite low in the sky. When the sun is in the height of the sky during the height of summer, it may mean that you get a lot more sun than what you do in the other times of year, so in the spring and in the autumn. This also applies to our own houses, our own buildings, our own sheds, our own garages. Those are also going to play a factor in how much sunlight you're actually getting. So we have the house behind me, so the sun will come up behind, so the front garden gets a lot of sun. As it will swing round, this area here close to the house is in shade. As it comes round and gets further along, this area now will be in a sunnier situation. So you're getting the sun maybe late afternoon and into the tea time of day. The area which I've just gone on to show you about before, where the Calamagrostis grass is and where the central border is, that gets pretty much sun all day from maybe mid-morning, because it's going right over the house, because it is quite high during the summertime. It does reach the end of the garden, so we are getting sun from the mid-morning onwards all the way till that sun sets. Then we do have some trees in our neighbour's garden, our neighbour but one, so the sun does go around there and it can filter that sunlight and give us a little bit of shade, particularly on the dining area towards the tea time end of time. So it does give us a little bit of shelter from that sun as we're sitting out and enjoying a meal during the evening. You'll also notice that the trees we've planted are planted on this side of the garden. They're not planted where they're going to interfere with the sunlight. If we didn't have neighbouring trees and neighbouring tall bushes, and we did want to have more shade, which as the climate is changing and we're getting more sun and more heat, we might have considered putting one of those trees on the left side boundary. But because we do have other trees in the neighbouring gardens which are doing that for us, we don't really need to do that, so we've kept them along the right side of the garden. So things like trees, like fences, like houses, buildings, they are going to create little microclimates within your garden space, and we need to be looking at this to determine where to plant plants and where the best place will be to site the plants. So when you are deciding which plants to buy, you may be going to a plant nursery, or you may be going to garden centres, you may be impulse buying, whereby you just see something that's in flower. We all do this and just decide to take it home with us and worry about where to plant it when you do get back. If you are taking more time and you are doing your research first, knowing which orientation your garden's going to be in and just working out over time, you can determine where pockets of shade and pockets of sun is during different parts of the day. It can help you make that decision and to choose the right plants that are going to thrive within your particular aspect. Having said all that, plants can be quite adaptable. If, say for example, you're growing a lot of fruits and vegetables, things like tomatoes will need a lot of sun, particularly to grow and especially to get the fruits to ripen. So placing this in a more sunnier aspect will give you the best results. If you do have a garden which is predominantly semi-shade, plant them somewhere where they get the most sunlight, because that will then give you the best fruit and the best chance of success. If I was to do a survey and ask people what aspect their garden is, I would imagine quite a lot of people would say, I am not sure. I know it gets a lot of sun, or I know it gets a lot of shade, but I'm not actually sure which aspect the actual garden lies. It's quite an important thing to know, so if you don't already know, have a go at doing this. It takes you a few minutes and it's quite a valuable piece of information, particularly when it comes to deciding which plants are going to thrive in your garden. So I'll leave the video there. I do hope you found it informative and somewhat enjoyable as well. Please give us a like, please subscribe. Please, if you've got any comments, drop them in the comments box below the video. We will see you very soon on the next one. In the meantime, please take care and happy gardening.